Okay, let's dive into this. You know that feeling when your personal or professional growth just hits a wall? Like you've got all these massive aspirations, but bridging the gap between where you are right now and where you desperately want to be feels, well, kind of impossible. Today, we're unpacking a truly profound explainer based on a piece called Faith for Mastery by Oluyomi Oladavid. And what she does here is honestly remarkable. She takes the concept of faith, which a lot of us think of as just a passive belief, and flips it into this incredibly active, dynamic engine for personal transformation and ultimate mastery. I am so pumped to guide you through this because it is literally packed with actionable wisdom. Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start by meeting Oluyomi Oladavid. Then we'll cover patience and command, the power of trust, navigating with the GPS, hope and light, and finally, from history to mastery. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Meet Oluyomi Oladavid, the strategist behind the poetry.
Now, to really grasp the sheer depth of this text, we've got to understand the author herself. Let me introduce you to Oluyomi Oladavid. You might think a piece like this comes from someone sitting in a quiet, isolated retreat somewhere, right? Actually, scratch that. Her day-to-day life is deeply entrenched in high-level global strategy and policy. She is a Nigerian woman who's intensely focused on real-world transformation. She somehow brilliantly manages to blend the heart of a poet with the sharp, analytical mind of a corporate executive. Just take a look at her personal mission statement. I enjoy generating solutions, influencing policy/strategy, and providing clarity. She so beautifully merges that strategic, policy-driven mindset directly with her foundational faith. In her writings, she mentions that her Father God owns and rules the universe, and even describes him as the wheel within my wheels. That tells us that for her, faith isn't just some abstract concept floating in the clouds. It's the actual engine driving her strategic thinking. It's the very mechanism she relies on to generate real, tangible solutions.
Section 2. Patience and command. The starting points of faith.
In her framework, faith never travels alone. It always brings a companion. And the very first companion she introduces us to is patience. But look at how she reframes our usual understanding of it. We usually think of patience as just waiting around, right? Sitting still, twiddling our thumbs. But for her, patience is this highly active, dynamic shift. It moves us out of a paralyzing crossroads, where you're just stuck, agonizing over which way to go, into a roundabout, where you are actively moving, preparing to take your chosen exit. Even more practically, she says faith journeying with patience takes us from a mere dream to a startup. It's all about taking that fluffy, intangible idea and giving it actual structure and reality.
Next up, faith journeys with command. And again, notice the active verbs she uses here. This companion snaps us out of a passive posture and into a completely active one. We move from sit to stand. We go from just being summoned, come to go, to actually taking charge. And maybe most importantly, especially considering her background in policy, command moves us from basic service to actual influence. It's that huge leap from just doing assigned tasks to actively shaping the final outcomes.
Section 3. The power of trust. Breaking out of the familiar.
Okay, so once we're standing up and exerting influence, the journey demands something much deeper to keep us from stalling out. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how she frames the whole concept of trust. Trust isn't just about crossing your fingers and believing everything's going to be okay. She views it as the specific catalyst you need to finally leave your comfort zone. And what's waiting for you when you make that leap? She calls it a fresh spring. The implication here is that staying cozy in your comfort zone eventually leads to stagnation, like a stagnant, still pond. But trusting the journey, that opens you up to a continuous, life-giving flow of brand new ideas and experiences.
Furthermore, she highlights how trust actually simplifies the whole journey for us. It shifts the traveler away from paralyzing doubt and into a state of healthy caution. You aren't being reckless, but you are absolutely no longer frozen by fear. And I love this part. She notes that trust moves us from complexity to simplicity. When you genuinely trust the process and you trust your faith, all those overcomplicated, overthought obstacles just start to melt away, leaving you with a crystal clear, simple path forward.
Section 4. Navigating with the GPS. The staircase of growth.
This brings us right into the most hands-on, practical part of her journey. When faith teams up with what she creatively calls the GPS, it maps out this highly disciplined progression. Step 1, we move from raw flesh, which basically means our base impulses and those knee-jerk reactions we all have, into prudence, which is careful strategic judgment. Step 2, it guides us from laziness to discipline. And finally, step 3, it transforms mere growth into true development. Because think about it, growth is just getting bigger, right? But development, a term that perfectly aligns with her passion for global strategy, implies evolving, maturing, and becoming much more complex and capable.
Section 5. Hope and Light. Finding Clarity. As we start applying all this discipline, the journey brings about some profound emotional and spiritual illumination. Think about the emotional toll of taking on any massive undertaking. It's heavy, right? Well, she understands this deeply. She points out that faith journeying with hope transitions us away from crushing despair and moves us toward firm decision. It turns anxiety into petition, meaning you stop spiraling in worry and you start actively asking for exactly what you need. And it shifts the traveler from mere foresight, which is just seeing what's coming down the pike, into true insight, where you deeply understand the mechanics of why things are actually happening. And then light enters the picture. So the crucial point is how she describes this specific effect. Light turns night to day and brings absolute clarity, completely wiping out any confusion. This ties back so perfectly to her personal mission statement from earlier in the explainer, remember? Where she stated she enjoys providing clarity. Light is the ultimate tool for a strategist, because let's face it, you absolutely cannot navigate what you cannot clearly see.
Section 6. From History to Mastery, the Ultimate Destination.
So where has all this patience, command, trust, discipline, hope, and clarity actually been leading us? Well, take a look at this table, and this brilliantly illustrates her entire framework in one cohesive view. You can see right here how each individual companion of faith acts as a specific tool leading to a highly specific destination. Patience builds the startup. Command secures the influence. Trust finds the fresh spring and brings simplicity. The GPS enforces the discipline and development. Hope unlocks insight, and light guarantees clarity. It is quite literally an incredibly well-engineered blueprint for maximizing human potential. Which brings us to the final and honestly the most powerful shift she describes in her entire text. The absolute culmination of this journey is taking the leap to leave the past entirely behind. It is the definitive movement from history to mastery. Your history is simply what happened to you in the past, but your mastery, that is what you deliberately build using every single tool we just went over. Oluyomi Ola David has given us so much more than just a beautiful poem here. She has handed us a brilliant strategist guide to our own spiritual and personal evolution. So I want to leave you with this question to really reflect on today. Looking at her incredibly detailed roadmap, where are you currently stalled? And more importantly, are you ready to engage these companions of faith to finally make that move from your history to your mastery? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. And I really hope this provided you with the clarity you need to take your very next step.